This segment brought to you by
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm Walt Fick. I'm an Extension Rangeland Management Specialist here at Kansas State University, housed here in Manhattan. Today I wanted to visit with you a little bit about, as we start into the grazing season, maybe the various options producers have in terms of different grazing systems they might use. One of the older systems is simply what we call either continuous or season-long grazing. So they may start putting animals out around 1st or middle of May, depending on what part of the state, and then they just leave them out there in an individual pasture for the grazing season, which for a cow-calf producer that might be to the end of October, maybe 6 months of grazing. A stocker producer that's going to run season-long, maybe 5 months, let's say May 1 to September 30th would be common. But there are many other systems. One of them that's used here in the Flint Hills has been called intensive early stocking or double stocking at some time referred to, where again we put on these 500-600 pound animals, and again southern part of the Flint Hills maybe April 15th even, but May 1 let's say, but they come off middle of the summer, July 15th, the first August range, so they're only out there half the season, but there's twice as many animals. That takes advantage of the higher quality that we have in the early season. If we get late summer rains, we get forage production occurring, so it'll help carry a fire the next year, which is important again for the livestock gains on those stockers. There are various kinds of rotational grazing systems. They vary from maybe just a simple 2-pasture system, where somebody might graze a pasture the first half of the season, and then switch to another pasture, and then the next year they start off in the pasture they left in the fall. And what that does is it allows late summer rest every other year then in those pastures. And that's critically important for the vigor of our warm season grasses. And then we've got 3, 4, 5 pasture systems. What I would call a management intensive system might have 8 pastures or paddocks, and those people will probably be moving their livestock fairly quickly early in the season when plant growth is high, maybe every day or two for a month. Then as plant growth slows down, then they start slowing down the rotation. So we have people doing that. The extreme case of what I would call a management intensive system would be what we call mob grazing, where in those cases that they may not start grazing until maybe you have a couple feet of growth. Because you got to have, if you've put out hundreds of thousands of pounds of animal weight on an acre, they got to have something to eat. So it's very quick. They usually graze it pretty well off, but then they probably aren't going to return to that pasture that season. They just have a number that they just move around, and so that's kind of the extreme case. And there's a few people practicing that. Well, I think the grazing systems that are used in the state do vary a little bit depending on whether you're here in the eastern part of the state where we have higher rainfall versus out west. Most of our research that's been done on grazing work has been done either here at Manhattan. Dr. Clenton Owensby is a person who's been doing that for years, and he's been kind of rotating between systems on a given pasture. Rather than using the same system year after year, he's rotating. So right now I know he's using intensive early stocking, takes the animals off, and then the next year he's double stocks it again, but he leaves half the animals in those pastures for the remainder of the season. And he's been doing that for several years, and that's been a fairly economic system. The prairie seems to be holding up under that system as well. But that's probably maybe better adapted to the eastern part. Other research that's being done over the years in Kansas has been done out at Hays. That's one of our Western Kansas Ag Research Center at Hays. Dr. Keith Harmoney there is working mostly with cow-calf, but they've done some stocker research as well, where we found out the double stocking system works here. In Western Kansas, it doesn't work as well. The cattle don't gain as much, and it seems to have more of a negative effect on the composition.
Hey there folks, I'm Dr. Dan from Doc Talk. On behalf of myself and the staff at Drovers, I'd like to invite you to our Cow-Calf Cowboy College in West Des Moines, Iowa on June 20th and 21st. We're going to have speakers such as Mike Apley, Tom Knopfsinger, Chris Reinhardt, and Mr. Dave Nichols from Nichols Angus Farm. For registration, please visit droverscowboycollege.com or call us at 1-877-482-7203. I hope to see you all there.